Hello, and welcome to the presentation on course alignment. Now that we have some objectives that we're going to use, we're going to, throughout this presentation, talk about how we can take those objectives and align them both with our assessment and our instruction. What I found in going through the understanding by design process, and that's the process that we're going to be looking at here with course alignment. And what I found using that process and developing this course is that it was much more about the process for me in terms of the benefit that I got from it. The charts and the maps that we're going to look at are definitely very helpful and things that when you share with your students, I feel like can benefit them very, very much. And if you're going to go through the Quality Matters certification process, having these course maps and these charts is definitely something that's going to help you. But for me, the process of going through and defining what it is that I really wanted to get out of the course and really thinking about the most efficient and effective ways to get those things, it was just the systematic process for me that I found to be most beneficial. So just keep that in mind as we go through, that it's not really as much about the finished product as it is defining our goals and defining what it is that we really are trying to accomplish and going through the process of getting all of those thoughts out of our head and into some kind of organized fashion. So when we talk about course alignment, there's really two pieces that we need to talk about. So there is the completion aspect of course alignment. Do you have all of the pieces of the puzzle that you need? And then you also have this cohesion domain, where once you have compiled all the pieces of the puzzle and you're sure that you have everything you need, then we have to figure out how to get all those pieces to fit together in the most efficient and effective way possible. So we're going to take this idea of having, all the puzzle pieces that we need and then fitting them all together nicely and kind of marry those two concepts with the understanding by design framework. So just a quick review on that. The UBD framework is a 3-stage process that we go through. The first stage being that we create our learning objectives. This is our course and module level objectives. More often than not, your big ideas are going to be those course level objectives, whereas the more specific knowledge and skills that we're trying to get is going to be our module level objectives. Stage 2 is where we start thinking about assessment and what kind of evidence are our students going to show us so that we know that they have achieved mastery of those desired results and those learning objectives. And then we want to plan learning experiences that fit well with the evidence that we have identified and also support those objectives that we created in the beginning. So to give you an idea of how we can kind of use the UBD framework, I'm going to just kind of take you through my process. And so when I went through the design process for this course, I kind of divided what I was doing with the UBD process into this completion and cohesion domains. And with the completion aspect of things, we have creating our objectives and then mapping our objectives onto one another. And for those of you that have state mandated standards, some of this obviously is not going to necessarily apply in the way that you're going to see it here. And that's just something that we'll have to work on a one-on-one basis to see how we can kind of take the process that you see here and kind of the tools and the techniques that I'm going to show you and figure out a way to kind of merge that with the standards that you have been mandated. Then with the cohesion piece, we have classification of our objectives, and then a couple of more maps where we take our module level objectives and map them to our assessment, and then we take our assessment and map it to our instruction. And then we'll talk about kind of sharing this information with our students and a way to organize it for ourselves so that it's a little bit easier to look at and digest, so you're not having to flip through so many pages of course maps. So to go through this process, we're gonna kind of be referring to this concept map, and it does look a little busy, but we'll go through it just a little bit at a time, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about pieces of the concept map, and then we'll go and see how that's implemented in real life course design. So starting off, we have defining our course objectives and looking at those big ideas of what's important to know. And those are going to be broad. Rule of thumb with course objectives is that you want to have somewhere between 5 and 10 of them. And then we want our module level objectives to support those course level objectives, right? So for each one of our 5 to 10 course objectives, we want to have more specific module level objectives. So rule of thumb here is for each course objective, you want to have somewhere between 3 and 5 module objectives that supports your course objective. So once you have all of those objectives, then your next step, and this is in the completion domain of course alignment, this is making sure that we have all the puzzle pieces that we need so that we can then start to figure out how to fit them together. So once we have course objectives and we have module objectives that support those, then we want to map those, right? So we have our module level objectives over here in green going down the page, and our course level objectives up here in blue going across the page. And so we start with each module level objective and we go across and we say, does this module level objective support this course level objective? If it does, then we'll put an X right here. Does it support this course level objective? This one, and so on as we go across the page. And for each course level objective that it does support, as you can see here, we put our X's. And we then work our way down and do this for the next module level objective and work our way across the page again, putting our X's, and so on and so forth down the page. The real benefit in this is that when you get through, you can, for each one of your course level objectives, now you can look down the page and you can see how many module level objectives throughout the course support each one of your course level objectives, right? So I can go through and I can count for course level objective 1, how many X's do I have? For course level objective 2, how many X's do I have? So if you wind up with, say, for course level objective 1, you wind up having 15 module level objectives that support it. And for course level objective 2, you have 4. Then that's quite a disparity there between your course level objectives and the amount of support. Now maybe that is okay with you. Maybe, this course level objective needs to have more support than the other. But it's something that, it's information that you gain here that causes you to think about things in different ways. And that's where I go back to saying that for me it was this process, right? When you see these things and you can count and visually see how much each one of your course level objectives is being supported, then it just kind of gets you into different thought processes and thinking along different lines and second guessing yourself in areas that maybe you would have overlooked without doing these things.